with Annabelle Marsh Clayton narrating most of it.
You can stop. Now you had to read.
It was in our home. Piece was in Mount Vernon Street house. It was up in the front bedroom, which was Uncle Henry's bedroom, and it had a hanging mirror with it. And there was a huge bed also with it, but that was, I guess, this sold or something. And I had it for a while in my hall in Narrates for linens and things. And then I took it to, I gave it to my daughter, Annabelle, and I cleaned it off, had it cleaned off at one time.
I remember doing that when I was a kid. I helped with that.
And,
okay. All right. What do you remember about anything about the lamp?
No, I don't remember anything about the lamp.
All right.
Not if I could make up something, but no, I have no recollections of the lamp.
All right. Waddy gave this to Furman and I right after, well, about a year or so after we were married. And I'm not sure where it came from, but we've had it at least 33 years. Okay, the rocking chair. What can you tell me about the rocking chair?
That goes back to my mother's family and Mackey family around Jennersville in West Grove, Pennsylvania. And they had an old Mackey farm, and that was, I think she grew up on that farm. And that was one of her, I assume that was one of her small chairs.
Okay, you want to take the dolls out of it? Okay.
And we at one time had it. We at one time had that chair refinished. It's the original chair, and because the painting was copied from the original flowers and decorations that were on originally.
Okay, now let's go over here to this butter churn.
Yep. Marsh and Mackey Farms. Mash or Mackey Farms.
Okay.
A simple of a pair of chairs. One, this is called the ladies' chair or the slipper chair, and the other one was an armchair. It was called the gentleman's chair, which you will see later in the film. And originally they were, and they also date from about 1897. They come from the Mount Vernon Street house, and they were all done in red plush velvet, all the same. And they were not, they're just walnut. They are not rosewood, but they were a copy of the original chairs that were made of rosewood.
Okay, and I refinished this.
And this one has been refinished and reupholstered.
I reupholstered it in 1986. We finished it when we moved to Nashville.
Dentries, and that's the tables. This was an old bed that we had in Mount Vernon Street with a very high headboard and a very high footboard. And it was a red mahogany, and it had very thick posts, both for the head and for the foot. And we, at that time, it was Depression time, and you couldn't sell anything, couldn't get money for anything, so somebody suggested we have tables made out of it. So each top is a part taken from the panel of the headboard, and the man worked on it, and the only thing that might be substituted would be a leg or two.
Okay.
And there's two pairs. We had two sets made.
Okay.
And I gave one to I took one, and my sister took one. And
okay. All right.
That was about I would say about 1940.
Okay. And what about the lamps?
And the lamp, those are old lamps. They were given to me as a housewarming gift when I moved into Narberth. They were called the Parksburg lamps, as I understand, and they were made by a man in Parksburg. It was an antique dealer, and he could make a lot of things. He put them all together separately. I mean, he got the square bases, he picked them up somewhere, and then he got these pretty Bohemian glass bowl, and made them all into electric lamps.
Okay.
And the shades are very recent.
All right. Where did the blue flow plate come from?
Well, that came from my mother's family. So I'll say the Mackey family, because a lot of the pieces you'll find have come from the Mackey family. It's just a piece of the flow blue china. It was very popular. It was the everyday man's everyday cooking or eating plates. I mean, like not the wealthy people didn't have as much as just the middle class people used it a lot for their dinner service. Not like a Wilton.
Okay.
Not like the Wilton china.
How about the coffee table?
That was also from Mount Vernon Street. It was a high table, and had on very ornate legs. That's the base of it. My sister took it and had it cut in half, and used the same marble top because the table was exactly the same width all the way from top to bottom.
It was called a library table.
And that was in the library. Mm-hmm.
This is the top half.
The Mount Vernon Street house.
Right, and this is the top half of the table.
Yeah, that's the top half, yes.
And that's a cat
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cat.
stand.
I think that's just a little inkstand. That was on a alcohol or whatnot, where we had a lot of little shells and things that people had apparently collected in their travels, and just like you have a shadow box now or a corner cupboard that just show your little ornaments in.
Okay, it was from China, though.
Yeah,
it is from
It
China.
is China. It's a little. Yes, from China. Yeah, it has a little Chinese pattern on it. If you look at it carefully.
Okay, and this drum table I got from, we were given by Bradbury after he married my Aunt Waddy.
That was about 1860.
Right. And the lamp was given to us by Cliff and Jan York
Oh,
for our 5th wedding anniversary. It appears that it's probably 2 lamps made into one. It's brass and copper. And the drop leaf table is also a gift from my aunt, Waddy Bradbury. It was Brad's table. He and his first wife had it. Mother, what about the blue candy dish on this table?
well, that was a wedding gift to me when I was married. When John Clayton and I were married, that was in 1933. That was a very popular pattern and a very popular color in colored glass. That deep blue was very popular at that time.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, the watch was my father's, or his father's. I don't know which. Which watch was that?
Oh,
This is, it's a silver watch.
oh, that was
It was my grandfather's, I guess.
yes, your grandfather Clayton's watch. Yes.
And then in the little box are my baby shoes and my baby gloves, and a pair of old glasses. I don't know where those are from. And then there's a family Bible in there. The picture on the wall was presented to Furman when he left Octorara Middle School, where he was principal, where he built the school and was principal for 2 or 3 years. This was presented by the faculty when he left the teaching profession.
Given to me as a wedding gift in 1933, and they were made by an artist that had lived on Cape Providence, Cape Cod, Provincetown, Cape Cod, and they were given to me as a wedding gift, and I have given them to my daughter Annabelle because they were made by the same person, and they were, I don't know what number they were, but they're English buildings.
Okay. This is a photograph my brother did of a barn or an old door in Utah someplace. He was a photographer, and this is something he did when he was in high school, I believe. The top picture, Mother, what was that? He did that one, you told me? I can't seem to get a good shot of that on here.
The chocolate pot came from the Mount Vernon Street house, and I'm sure that it had more cups to it than that, but it was something that I think my sister and I used several times when we were playing house when we were little, and we would entertain ourselves by having a hot pot of chocolate and drinking out of those dear little cups.
Okay, up there on the top are 2 blue cups that you all used also.
And those are, yes, we played with them as children. Shall I put them down?
Now, and then the punch bowl and the little cups are samples of punch bowl, pressed glass punch bowl that somebody would sell.
Well, that's what the salesman would
A
take around.
salesman would take around.
Yeah,
Right.
that's their sample. Like they would take little chairs.
Yeah.
If you wanted to have a chair made, they would take a little small miniature chair.
Okay, this little black coffee pot has a date on it of 1840. Came from my aunt. Not sure where she got that. I have a collection of cups here from wherever. Just a collection of various cups
Of Hummels, huh?
and Hummels. Okay.
Now this high chest is an old piece that came from a family in Kennett Square years ago, and it was sold to my sister and her husband around 1940, and it's really an old one. Has maybe one replaced leg and maybe two new pieces of brass on it, but it's that actually dates back into the 1700s, and every household I think must have had one of those at that time. They hold an enormous amount of things, and on top are the china from my sister's husband's mother, who was a German extraction, or really, she was born in Germany, but her children were born here. But that is English china, but that was her best china. And there are so many pieces to that, and so many tureens, and so many little cups, and that they're not all, you can't show them all there. But they're unusual in shape and in style.
Okay. What do you know about this compote on top?
The compote on the top was also my sister's, but I can't tell you any history of that, except that I would say it must be around at least 50 years old. I'll try to pick that up.
That's just
Well,
to give you.
that means it's good crystal.
Just to give you an idea of what it sounds like.
And I say when.
Now,
The buffet came from. I gave that to Annabelle and Furman when I moved from Narberth, and I had the whole. That was my dining room, part of my dining room furniture. It's a crotch mahogany buffet. Sheraton style. It's not an antique, but it is old. It's around 60-some years old right now. And the silverware on the top is our grandmother's silver, and it's not sterling, but it's plated on a white metal, which was very unusual at that time. So much was plated on copper, and it has really served well during the years because it gets used quite a bit. A very pretty set, and I don't think we could ever be duplicated.
and it's unusual because it has the butter.
It has the butter, the butter dish with it,
And a waste pot.
and beside the waste pot.
Okay, how about the four
Those
decanters?
Well, they came from Mount Vernon Street, and they were for different wine, Scotch, or bourbon, or what would another liquor, brandy, I guess, to make up the four ones that you would use mostly. And they have I would say they would be around in the late 1890s or so, because they were at the Mount Vernon Street house. You want to do your children?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to do them?
Yeah, let's see, I should start. Lisa is the first child. This one done when she was 3 years old, which would have been 1966. Amy was done when she was 3 years old. These are pastels, so that would have been 1967. And Kelly was also done when she was 3 years old, been 1971, I believe. They are done by the same artist at Wanamaker's in Wynwood. And this is our fourth child, Inky. Furman had this done. It's also pastel for me one Christmas when it appeared that no one else was going to have it done.
There
Okay.
are 4 of these, right? There are 4 of these straight chairs. So they were very popular in the 1890s and early 1900s. And they were from my mother's family, in Mackey family, around Jennersville and West Grove, in that area. And of course, since then, they have been refinished and reupholstered many times. But I can remember when they had horsehair seats on them. So that takes me back quite a while.
Okay, the dining room table and 6 chairs we bought probably in 1972 from friends of Mother and Daddy's, the Edwards, and has served us well. The tea cart was also a gift from my aunt, who refinished it, and that was probably, we've had that since probably 1963.
This is some of the old china that was in our family. The salad plates are Haviland, and they are old. And then we had some Tucker. Tucker was a pottery maker in Philadelphia, and his period of workmanship was very short. I don't really know whether he died, he went out of business, or whether he died suddenly or what. But he did make some beautiful pieces that were in colors, flowers, gold, and with some design. But he made a lot of this white china with a gold band ring, which copied something somewhat of the Haviland style. So we put them together, and the cups are all different shapes. It's not anything. Some are, I guess some are really coffee cups, and some are tea cups. Some are larger than the others. And there was no marking on them except a little scratch, like a rat tail on the back. And that's the way you can tell they're old, and that's the way he marked these things, with that little sort of a little squiggle.
Okay.
8 of these salad plates, and then I have 12 of those cups. We have 12 of those cups and saucers. Sure.
Wait a minute. Okay.
The low sherbet is an English-made china, a glass crystal, and it was a wedding gift to John and me, and that's so they're about 60 years old, and so we had ordered the goblets from England from the same company, because they had a foot on it. We wanted to try to get something like the close to the sherbet, so that's the closest thing we could get in a goblet that has the foot that has a base on it too. But they're much thinner glass, but they do come from the same company, and they are the same pattern, and they're also that was part of our wedding gift, I guess you could say, to ourselves.
Okay, very good. I didn't know that before.
Now this is these are very dainty little fruit juice glasses. We also purchased from a very famous china and glass and crystal store in Philadelphia, who had a long history, Tyndall, Wright, and Van Roden. And they were up there with Barely Banks and Biddle and Caldwell. It was that type of merchandise that they carried, that quality. And so we picked those up one time because we thought we liked them. And they also have a foot like the goblet, so we thought we couldn't match the others, of course.
Okay.
So is there anything else there?
Okay. We're in the kitchen.
We're in the kitchen, and this old table is the outstanding thing, I think, here as far as antiquity is considered. That was an old, I think it has leaves, 4 leaves in it that can be put in it, and it'll open out almost to a banquet size. And it has, it's like a gate leg. It has, instead of having just 4 legs, it has 6 legs, I think. And that came from my sister's husband's first family, was in her mother's kitchen, in his mother's kitchen in Kenneth Square, and that is really very old because they lived in Kenneth Square for years. The boys are raised there and grew up there, and they had a bakery there at that time called the Nolte Bakery in Kenneth, which was quite well known, and that goes way back in the 1800s. And the chairs came from an aunt of ours who had a summer place in Malaga.
Oh, I forgot. Okay.
Malaga, New Jersey, and she had these in a little cottage. There was a camp meeting ground you might know or remember. And she had 4 of these and a table. Well, 3 of them have survived and come in very handy. Then the settee is an old piece I picked up from a friend of ours in Kenwood that wanted to, they were getting ready to sell some of their things. And that is an old settee, and that's, I'm not sure whether they call that a New Jersey settee or a Pennsylvania settee. But anyway, the chairs and it go very nicely together. And the sofa, the cushion on it, comes from the pews at First Baptist Church, Philadelphia. It seems at one time we had a fire, and there were, of course, most of the pews were destroyed, and most of the cushions were destroyed, but there were a few that were usable. And then when they had new cushions made, why, somehow or other, I said, I thought I'd like to have one of those for my settee, because it was such a long settee, and I only had to cut off a short piece on the end to make it fit there. So that's old too.
I'm just getting all the junk, as Furman calls it, on the walls. Just because some of it's old, some of it's new, some of it's borrowed, some of it's blue, whatever. There's a copper ice bucket and pitcher that were, where is it, wedding gifts. Shower gifts from Mother and Daddy in 1933 that I use mainly for flowers now. Some old bottles. There's a Coke bottle up there from when the Orioles won the pennant. Little interesting knickknacks. Okay, I have an iron stove, an old iron stove. We moved here from Baltimore. It came out of an Episcopal church in Baltimore. I have the guts for it. It could be hooked up again to be a gas stove to work. More knickknacks. Furman's trophies. Old coffee grinder. There's a butter mold up there that probably came from butter mold come from Mount Vernon, Mother, or from the farm, the Marsh farm. You see the wheat butter mold? Can you see the wheat butter mold up there?
This?
No, the butter mold on top.
Oh, that came from Mother's. My mother's
From the
farm.
Marsh, the Mackey.
Oh, Marsh and Mackey.
Okay, the Hoosier cabinet. Whoops.
Well, we had the date of that, and it was something somewhere in the late 1800s.
Okay, wait.
It's an old Hoosier cabinet
Yeah.
made in somewhere in Ohio,
Yeah.
and
Wait, I'll get the date.
it's a flour thing that you can put your flour in and turn it and sift your flour, take it out down here when you want to measure it out for bread or cake, whatever you're making. But this one never had. Some were made that way and some weren't. But it is a handy. And had a thing on the side for a old-fashioned meat grinder to be fastened if you wanted to grind meat or grind up any kind of food.
Okay, I think that does it for the kitchen. I don't know anything else in here. Oh, my grandmother's bowl, salad bowl, was on this. She made her famous coleslaw in. So I guess that's old.
You can remember making that.
I can remember that, making her coleslaw on it. I think that's about it in the kitchen.
This is an old dry sink also. It was my sister's, and it is an old piece. I don't know exactly where it came from, but I know she's had it for at least 35 years, and it's come in very handy. It's all in very good shape. Has nice copper lining, and she used it for her bar, and kept her bar glasses, and various liquor bottles in the bottom. The coffee grinder is an old grinder made into a lamp. Where we used to have it. I can remember as a child grinding coffee for my mother.
Okay. And then this table.
There's an old sewing table that the dressmakers used, and we had it in our family. And if you can look carefully at the top, there is a yard measures just 36 inches. The yardstick is in the goes along the edge here, but I guess it was years of cleaning it and washing it. It's has sort of disappeared, and it folds up so that you can fold it up and put it in the closet, but you're not using it. You know, those were the days when the dressmaker came to the house and made the summer clothes or made the spring clothes or made the winter clothes and stayed maybe a week or at a time. And that's what I can remember the woman coming, and her name was Mamie Roach. And I always was intrigued by that name. Anybody with the name of Roach was sort of queer to me at the time as a child.
And on the bottom of it has Singer stamped on it too.
Simplicity.
Oh, Simplicity,
Yeah,
I thought it was
yeah,
Singer.
it has a
Okay.
Simplicity sign, and those are from the old Simplicity patterns, which that dates back to the early 1900s. That also came from Mount Vernon Street.
Okay, and on this table is a box of, they're called,
Apothecary jars.
and they were my great-grandmother's,
Yeah.
Amelia
The
V. Andrews. Wicked-looking things.
Yeah.
And they were hers.
and there are little jars in there, and there's a syringe, but
We can't decide whether it's a syringe or it's a hypodermic needle. Can't figure out how it works. I know who would tell me.
but she was a nurse, and worked. It was invented. She worked out from one of the early hospitals in Philadelphia, which is now the Presbyterian Hospital, and she invented a bedpan, which she patented and made quite a little bit of money on it. So we sort of put her in the class of being a celebrity.
Yeah, we'll see the bedpan later. Go.
Well, this bench table is an interesting piece because it can be used for so many things. And this was from the Mount Vernon Street house. We used it there in our second kitchen. We had a house that had two kitchens. I think the second kitchen was really supposed to be for a maid's dining room, but I don't believe we ever used it that way. But this table, it has a nice bench and it's underneath that you can lift up. And
Why don't you go over there and just lift it up a little bit?
I don't want to be in this. We used to keep I don't know what we kept in it as kids, but after I had used it, I used to keep the kids' play things out in the yard, like their balls or their bats and that sort of stuff. And then when I had it in my kitchen, I used it for other things. Like I put boots and that sort of thing, and maybe caps. And it was originally a light plain wood, but then I painted it a dark green, and I painted it several times. And then when I gave it to my daughter, she had it all cleaned off and refinished. And it's just pine, but it's a very heavy pine. And so that goes back pretty far.
That was in the original bill of sale on the Mount Vernon Street house.
Yeah. And this tilts over. You take these pins out. It tilts over to make a table, and you fasten it in here in these holes. And it was wonderful. We had it for the kids because they could bring their tennis rackets in, put in there. They could put their tennis balls or any game that they could play outside. Most of it would go in there. And now my daughter uses it for her dolls.
No, I use it also. I put the top down and I use it for doing puzzles. I use it as a serving piece in here for parties. It's still getting a lot of use. Let's see. This is the companion chair to the blue one, and this is the man's chair.
Gentleman's chair.
Gentleman's chair. The companion chair to the one that's in the living room. This is here temporarily. And I don't know what else in here. Okay, this chair back here.
That came from Mount Vernon Street too. There were 4 of them. I have 2, and now my daughter has 2. There are called Regency. I think they're really not Victorian, and that's the period between. I'm not too sure when I say it, but I think it's the period right after the Victorian period.
And
they would date back to 1897 and that.
And I have the other one is in a back room, which we'll see later.
No.
The cat now thinks this is her chair. Ever since we brought it up for Mother to sit in while she was here, the cat gives her run for her money. If
If
Mother's not in it, Bud is. Okay, this chair
was your daddy's chair.
was my father's chair.
Because he was tall, had long legs. Just say that. 'Cause I'm
It
not-
has a long seat because he was tall, has long legs. I'm the only one in the family who wanted it because I'm the only one that finds it comfortable. I still enjoy sitting in this chair. Over at the fireplace, I have
Fire tongs.
the fireplace set came from
My mother.
Mary Elizabeth Marsh from the Marsh farm, I guess.
Yeah.
On the fireplace, on the hearth is a little lamb. It came from Mount Vernon Street.
And that was before the fire, before the mantle.
Before mantles, the little lamb always sat. It sat on the fire, on the hearth. When I grew up in Narrates, and I sort of walked away with it because I wanted it to. And then I have a kettle, a line kettle.
That came from the Mackey family.
And that came from the Mackey family. I also have the coal scuttle and the wood box. That goes. This rocking chair Furman gave to me on our first anniversary in 1962. Okay.
I'll get on this side here. This picture, this bamboo picture on the two little birds, where it was done by a Japanese artist during the Second World War, when the Japanese were interned in Nevada. And of course, they were all, the people they interned were all across the big cross-section of life. They were doctors, dentists, professional men, were laborers, or most anything. And they had to stay there for the duration. And this one was an artist. So he painted several pictures, and anybody that would come to go through the camps, they would sell them to them. And we had a minister friend that was interested in that sort of thing, and so he visited them, and he brought home several pictures, and I got this one. I also had one of the Nevada River, which I had given to someone else, and it's just all in watercolor, and it's very pretty. It's a very soft shade of green, and with two little birds, and it's just typical of the bamboo and the birds in that part of what he could remember of Japan, I guess.
Furman should be here to do this because these are his relatives. It's his mom and dad when they were married and on their 50th anniversary. Mr. and Mrs. York, don't know the date on that. This was the 50th anniversary of the whole family. The Furman Yorks and the Clifford J. Yorks. And I believe that this was a Carnes. I don't think it was a York. I think it was on Mrs. York's side of the family. This is my grandmother and grandfather, Anna McGuire Clayton and John Lynn Clayton. This is the Clayton family.
Current date.
The current.
That was taken on Father's Day, 1977.
Okay. Father's Day, 1977. This is my mother. I'm getting myself in these pictures. My mother in her wedding gown that she made October 14th, 1933. My grandmother, Mary Elizabeth Mackey Marsh, 1939.
And here's the lady with the red pin.
My great-grandmother, Amelia V. Andrews. She's the one that invented the bedpan that we have a patent for. This is the famous bedpan. It's a prototype, I hope, because it is heavy as heck.
You have that.
This,
You have that.
this is the patent that she was granted. Getting a lot of,
What's the date on it? See the date?
there is a date, I don't know what it is offhand. I'm getting a lot of glare back in this too. This is called Cottage Furniture
Came from Mount Vernon Street.
from Mount Vernon Street. It was where, Mother?
In the servants' quarters. It was in the back bedroom is what we call the servants' quarters. And that's the little chest that goes with it.
It's a little washstand. The top opens up. Space for your pitcher and wash stuff. There's a Limoges bureau set on the top. It's also old. This is the companion chair to the one in the den. That is a Regency chair.
It was all Brad's. Or unless maybe she picked them up. So,
Little round table came from Kennett Square. Could be a Bradbury. Could be a Marsh.
I think all this kind of stuff. I think
Picture of my aunt, my mother's sister, probably about 1927. She graduated from the University of Penn, where a lot of this furniture has come from. This is a little rocker that my aunt gave me when Lisa was born in 1960.
she's got the exercise class down, pat down.
All right, this is a Victorian rocker that was given to me when Lisa was born, in April of 1963.
It came from the Mount Vernon Street.
It came from the Mount Vernon Street house. We finished it and have recovered it.
And I have a side chair that goes with it.
And there's a side chair that goes with it that may come back to be together again someday. But that's been fun. Rocked all 3 children in that chair. No telling how many were rocked before that. Also has a nameplate on the bottom of it giving the date.
From mother's side of the family, Mackie's side of the family, my mother's side, your grandmother's side.
This nightstand or side table I refinished years ago. Came from the Mackey side of the family. Marsh from the farm. There's a bucket there. They call them shaker buckets, which is also old. The lamps came
Lamps
from.
are old lamps.
They were oil lamps that my aunt had that she gave to me. They've been electrified. This is the other companion table to the other one that I refinished. This, and also the little oil lamp from the Mackey farm. This is a quilted hanging I bought the first year we were here in Nashville by a local artist. She has since moved out of Tennessee and has made a name for herself with her quilting landscapes. She goes by the signature Dottie.
That was an old clock that always sat in my home in Russellville. That's in Pennsylvania. That's where I was born, and that's where we lived. Not far from the Mackey farm. That old clock, I think, was bought by, when these peddlers would come around to sell jellies or jams or spices. They'd come around in their little horse and wagon, and they would give you coupons for so much for, say, $10. You got maybe a $2 coupon. And I think that somebody told me that all those clocks were purchased that way. So I wouldn't know the value of it, except it's old, and I always liked it because it was always in our kitchen on the mantle above the fireplace.
And it still works. I just don't have it wound because the cat will get up and try to play with the pendulum. So it still chimes also. Okay, wait a minute.
The base of it.
Okay, go ahead. Start
Oh,
again.
this was a love seat, and my sister had it made into a bed. She had the side boards made long for a bed, and then the base of it was the bottom of the seat. And of course, the quilting was done. That was afterward, but made a very nice bed.
And this
And
is
she
all.
used to use it in one of her guest rooms.
And we have put it to use now in a guest room. It's being used, and we have put it together now, being used in the guest room. The cat also likes this bed.
He likes that chair. Give him the Miss Bell ones.
This is Mother trying to clean up her mess that she's made in my guest room.
Yeah.
This is a little
I
four-drawer
never had that many
chest.
pills around before.
Little four-drawer chest that came from Kennett Square. It was in my aunt's house. Don't know the date of it. Maybe a reproduction. She's had it, but she had it since 1942. Picture on the top is of Uncle Henry. Everyone should have an Uncle Henry in their family. This is a dollhouse in much disarray. It usually looks better than this. It's made by a friend of mine growing up,
Cancel the top.
probably about 1940, 43 or 44. Her father made it for her. I've made some of the rugs in it. As I said, it's in much disarray at this point. This oil lamp came from Furman's mom and dad, probably used when they were first married. Not sure whether it was from Mrs. York's family, the Carnes, or the Yorks. Sure it was something they had in the family.
No, they bought it.
This is another oil lamp from Mr. and Mrs. York family. I put an electric light bulb in it, something they used. There again, I'm not sure which side of the family it came from. Priced one of these today at the antique mall for $45.
Oh, what a cheap.
This is a coverlet that was used in the, Marsh family, Mackey family. It's the double woven on either side. It was also hung in Concordville between the two partitions of the house. They hung these to keep the cold out in the winters in doorways.
Kitty?
Well, it's a rainy day, and it's late in the day, so I don't know how well this will come out in terms of light, but these are the tulip poplars we planted about, 6 or 7 years ago, and they were really grown. Really pleased with them. Of course, there's a house on the hill up there. And here's a new tree that we planted this summer. I hope it survives. We'll see. Never tell with those things. When we first came here, you could see the house during this time of the year very clearly, but the trees have really grown up. I'm very pleased with the shades that are occurring. This is a shot of the garage area. Two-door garage. See the back area past the garage where my moles live. As I pan around, you can see the front view of the house with the steps going up. And my new gutters I put on last fall. And the new roof I put on a couple of years earlier. Good job. Hey, do I see a leaf hanging up there? Nah, couldn't be. This is a side view of the back of the house with the new air conditioning unit I put on 2 or 3 years ago. As I pan around again, you can see, I hope, some birdhouses up there. Very nice maple tree I planted not long ago. It's surviving very well. One day it'll be one of the great shades for the backyard. My bat box. Again, I've never had any bats either, but I got a box in case you ever want to stop by, see what our house is like. As I pan around and see the pine trees. Where we may have a little small deck or enclosure to come off the kitchen. And then gosh knows what else.